Hello everybody! In this video I'd like to tell you about Git in simple words. I will use the approach that my friend developer used when he first explained to me what Git is and what it is for. Let's consider a scenario. I am a new team member joining a project. The team works on a project and the project's code base should be stored somewhere in such a way that it is available to all team members. In Git, this location is referred to as the remote repository. Without Git, to get this code, I needed someone to give me the code base via some physical or shared storage. Using Git, I can download this code from the remote repository placed on a Git server to my computer. In Git terms, this is not copying, but cloning a code base. During this cloning, Git creates a local repository on our computer as a copy of the remote repository. Thus, we have two main repositories. A remote repository, which is accessible to all team members, and a local one on my computer accessible only to me. Imagine I need to develop some feature and test it separately without affecting the existing code base. To do this, I should create a separate branch using Git. In Git, a branch is a separate version of the code base. Branches are like parallel universes where changes can be made independently. Usually, there is a main branch which contains only tested code, and only the senior colleagues are allowed to add code into it. Team members should do their work in distinct branches, usually a dedicated branch for each feature. Once we have completed development in a feature branch, we can transfer our code into the main branch. This transfer process is called merge and will be explained later. This approach mitigates the risks of affecting the tested code. I will use my project to show you in practice how it works step by step. Your computer should correspond to the following requirements. You need SSH client software installed. If you are not aware of this, please check this link and other related resources. Also, you need Git software installed. Please check this link. Please do it before moving ahead. Okay, I already have an account on GitHub, so let's open it. You can see here some remote repositories. Let's create a new repository for Git studying. Click plus, new repository. On an open page, you should fill a repository name field. For example, Git study. Choose public and check add a README file. Public means that anyone on the internet can see this repository. README file is where you can write a long description for your project. After that, click Create Repository button. So, we've just created the remote repository. To work with this repository on your local computer, you need to clone the remote repository onto your local computer. You need to do the following. Click Code button and copy the secure shell repository link, also known as an SSH URL. To work with GitHub, you need to use SSH protocol. It provides a secure way to communicate with the remote repository. Then, open the Git bash program. Using the cd command, go to the folder where you plan to clone the repository into. To clone a Git repository, we use git clone command and paste the repository link. To do this, use the context menu or click using the mouse wheel. Let's open the folder on our computer and we see just created repository. So now we have local repository with README file. Let's change this file. Open it and type something, for example, repo for practice. In IT, a repository is often called repo for short. Now in Git bash, move on to our repository and you can see the name of the branch we are on. This is the main branch by default. To check if there are new files or files that have changed, use the git status command and we can see that README file has been modified. The file changes are still not tracked by Git. To start tracking them, you need to do the following. Use the git add command to the changed files. In our case, it's a README file. Let's do it. When all the files are added, we should commit the changes. Commit is the next important Git definition. In simple words, commit is a wrapper for some set of changes. It includes the changes made to files, a commit message describing the changes, and a reference to the previous commit, forming a version history. Commits are essential for tracking and managing changes to the codebase. Let's do it using the git commit -m command, following with the message in quotes. Let's again check the status of our repository, and we see that no modified files are present and all changes are committed. So the changes we made before have become a part of the local repository. Git bash saves the history of previously executed commands, so you can find any of them using the up and down arrows. I am going to use this feature during this demo, so don't be surprised. As you can see, now the local repository is ahead of the remote repository by one commit. This is the commit we've just made. If we go to the remote repository and refresh the page, you won't see any changes in a README file. It's because we've made all the changes only in the local repository. To add all changes to the remote repository, we use git push command. If we now apply git status command, we can see that the local repository is up to date. So our new commit has been passed to the remote repository. Let's check the README file in the remote repository again. Now it contains the changes we made. Also, you see the commit message as an active link. Clicking it shows the commit and its changes. As we discussed above, to work independently and not affect the main code, we need to create a separate branch for our task. Let's do that. Go to Git bash and use the git checkout -b command to create a branch and switch on it. You can see in parentheses the current branch name. It's task 1, not main as before. So we have created a new branch and switched on it. Let's create some files in our project and add them to the local repository. To save our time, I'll just copy them into the project folder. Move on to the git bash and apply git status command. Next, we use git add command and list needed files using space as a delimiter. Git add command can be used as many times as needed. Apply git status command again to check that all files are added. Now we are ready to do the commit. It can be done by git commit command. Don't miss the commit message. Let's move on to the remote repository. Refresh the page and we see that there is only the main branch with the README file. So we need to push the task1 branch. Let's do that. As you see, when we push a new branch the first time, we need to set the remote as upstream. The git bash suggests which command should be used. Let's move on to the remote repository again. Refresh the GitHub page. And now we see that we have two branches, main and task1. And as you can see, in the main branch, there is only the README file. In the task1 branch, we have all three files and commits in it. We can check that the local repo behaves the same way. The task1 branch contains three files. Let's switch to the main branch by executing git checkout command. Now we can see that the main branch contains only the README file. So you can see that different branches represent independent states of the code base. Imagine we have finished working with a feature branch, in our case task1 branch, and want to add all changes to the main branch. In Git terms, combining the changes from the one branch into another is called merging branches. For this, firstly, we should go to the branch into which we will merge our branch. In our case, into main branch. We just did it. Then we use the command git merge and the branch name containing the commits we want to merge into the current branch. Then we should push the main branch into the remote repository. Go to GitHub in the main branch, refresh the page. We can see all files there. If we no longer need the feature branch, we can delete it using the following commands. Git branch -d for deleting from the local repository, git push origin --delete for deleting from the remote repository. Be careful while deleting branches, especially remote ones, as it permanently removes the branches and its history. On this slide, you can see all the commands we used today and short explanation for them. Today, I tried to explain to you several basic concepts of Git. What local and remote repositories are, adding, committing, and pushing changes, creating and merging branches. I really hope it was helpful. To be continued. Thank you for your time.